don't feel any less Scottish because we are part of this United Kingdom. The truth is, Paddy is correct to the extent that this is a momentous choice that we face. But I think while we can celebrate our diversity on these islands, we can do better, and we can be stronger in the future by working together. I didn't come into politics to end Britain. I'm motivated by ending poverty, by providing opportunity, but something changed in Scotland in May. The Scottish National Party won a political mandate for a referendum. That is why I think it is right to recognise the scale and significance of the choice that we face. And that is why I think it is vital that we reject a politics of grudge and grievance. And I think we have to conduct a different quality of debate on this issue. So when Alex Salmond's personal ministerial aide this afternoon in the Scottish Parliament stood up and questioned the patriotism of those of us in Labour who don't want to take Scotland out of the United Kingdom, I just think that is despicable and it is wrong. I would ask Nicola this evening not to question the patriotism of the millions of Scots who stand tall within the United Kingdom. The fact is that Alex Salmond won a historic victory last May. Nobody should pretend otherwise. But he won it despite a commitment to independence.
All right.
Not because
I'm going to cut you off like I did Paddy Ashdown, because we can't...
That's why support for independence
There are important
tonight
issues here, but we can't go on and on and on about them.
First Minister.
Go on.
I actually want to agree...
What about Joan McAlpine?
Well, I'm going to come to that, Douglas, if you just give me a second. I want to start by agreeing with Paddy Ashdown. This is the most important decision Scotland will have taken in 300 years. And I want it to be a positive debate. I think it's a perfectly legitimate... It's a perfectly legitimate opinion for somebody to say that Scotland should stay within the United Kingdom. I don't believe it's anti-Scottish for people to want to stay within the United Kingdom. What I think is wrong, and what I think does Scotland...
So was she wrong?
What I think does Scotland a great disservice, and you hear this more often from politicians in Scotland, frankly, than from politicians south of the border, is when people say that Scotland somehow cannot be independent, that we're too small, or we're too poor, or we're too weak. This should be a positive debate. I'll make the case positively, because I believe that independence...
Was she wrong?
I believe that independence is good. The essence of independence is taking the decisions that matter most to Scotland in Scotland. I believe that's good. I believe the links between Scotland and England are very strong and will continue, but I believe Scotland should be a proud, independent country.
And would you mind just answering his question about whether it was... She was wrong, sorry.
Joan McAlpine was saying that politicians who talk Scotland down do Scotland a disservice, and I believe she's right in that. But nobody who believes Scotland should stay in the United Kingdom is anti-Scottish. That's what I've said.
I absolutely make no apology, said Alex Salmond's ministerial aide, for saying that the Liberal Democrats, Labour and the Tories are anti-Scottish.
For talking Scotland down.
Ashamed of herself.
For talking Scotland down. That's what she was talking about.
There's more heat than light coming out of that. The woman there, Paddy Ashdown, you were the one who said that it was visceral with you that the UK should stay together.
Economically stronger, politically stronger. Why? Well... If you are thinking about, let's say, making a contribution to a situation which threatens the security of this country, there is just no doubt in my mind that the United Kingdom Armed Forces will make a better contribution to that than the individual armed forces of England and Scotland. If you're talking about having a voice in a world which is peace and issues related to the reform of the economy, Britain's voice is going to be far stronger than the individual voices of England and Scotland. So that's the issue. But can I come back to a really key issue? Because all these issues are going to be, it seems to me, argued out in the great campaign that's ahead. I'm really concerned to make sure that we get the structure, the context of that campaign right. And what worries me, and if I may address this to Nicola, what worries me about the Scotland's present propositions are that they seem designed with too much politics in mind and too little trying to arrive at the right conclusion for the Scottish people. Two issues worry me. Frankly, the timing issue doesn't terribly. If you fixed it by autumn 2014, I don't think we should make a great issue of that. But the issue of not allowing, it seems to me, the United Kingdom's Electoral Commission to oversee this. I mean, if you are not going to, and I'm sure you're not, going to gerrymander and put your own cronies in to your own committee to oversee the fairness of the referendum, why do you fear the United Kingdom Referendum Commission? You've got your own man, George Reid, on it. And secondly, and the bit that really worries me, is you seem to now be proposing a 3-question referendum. Now, I was looking up the figures. There have been 6 broadly constitutional, multiple choice, that is 3 or more question referendums since 1931. In 4 of those 6, they needed a second referendum to sort out and decide on the answer to the first. And the answer is very simple, because what you get is 45% voting for option A, 35 for option B, and 20 or 5 or whatever it is that's left over for option C. Option A is accepted at 45, but more people voted against it. So a 3-question referendum...
This is the idea that you'd have a third question, say, if you don't want independence, do you want more powers?
A 3-question referendum does not
Nicola Sturgeon doesn't want
it.
She doesn't want a 3-question referendum.
Well, hang on. That's what they're proposing.
Your party doesn't want
She says she doesn't want it.
She says she prefers not to have it, but...
Our preference is to have a straight yes or no question.
Well, does she?
Do you say that?
Do you say that?
Well, I believe in independence for Scotland. That's the question.
No, we know that. Come on, we're not beginners in this argument.
Perhaps if you let me just get a word in edgeways here, I'll answer the question. That's the question we want to see on the ballot paper. But, you know, there's a strong body of opinion in Scotland that says we should have more powers short.
That's a different issue.
But why?
Isn't that a different issue from independence? We've had devolution. Wales had a referendum on whether it should get more powers. That was a specific issue about whether it should be given more powers. This is a question about independence. It's quite different, isn't it?
Why should we restrict the options?
Well, ask one question at a time.
All of these politicians in their Scottish form spent the last 4 years trying to block a referendum altogether. Now they want to restrict the options that the Scottish people have. We're Democrats. We believe it's the right of the people to choose. It's the right of the people of Scotland to choose their own future.
All right, look, we must close this down because we get...
Can I just ask a very simple question? Surely you understand that a 3-question referendum leads to an indecisive result. Is that what you want?
Well, we're about to consult on the arrangements for the referendum. Let people have their view.
Do you recognise that answer?
We've heard today the voluntary organisations in Scotland, the Church of Scotland, say that option should not be closed down. The referendum to set up the Scottish Parliament...
So you want an indecisive result?
Let me finish. The referendum to set up the Scottish Parliament asked people, firstly, if they wanted a Parliament, and then they asked them if they wanted a Parliament with tax...
Now let's... All right.
The people of Scotland are perfectly capable of making these decisions. What's wrong with allowing the people of Scotland the choice and allowing them to choose their future?
All right, well, Paddy Ashton...